All right, guys, I'm here with Luke. We're gonna be showing a couple of moves that you can how to go from one move to another kind of in jiu-jitsu. In this case, what I wanna do is, we always use jiu-jitsu kind of starting, or what I call it ground jiu-jitsu is what I call it, but most people know it as BJJ or Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, or some people just say Gracie Jiu-Jitsu if it's the Gracie specifically, but I just call it ground grappling or ground Jiu-Jitsu. In this case, if we start like this, let's say we're getting ready to do some form of grappling, and this is a little bit more like street is the way that I teach the students. So they have to be very aware of strikes, elbows, in-close strikes, punches, that sort of thing, kicks from the ground. So it's very important that when we're engaging with somebody that first you got to know how to control limbs properly. That's important. If you're just fighting limbs and you're not doing jiu, they're just going to be able to come in and use your structure that's rigid and stuck. They're just going to be able to use that against you. So in this case, you have to be able to control them using softness, see, and blocking using almost like a Wing Chun idea, if that makes sense. Okay, if you can see what I'm doing, this is what I'm doing. I'm using jitsaus and stuff like that. So if he's fighting me, I can also pull in. Yeah, now at this point, we can start to use our feet. We can start to off balance the person. So he has kicking, he's doing really well. That's because he's a black belt. So all these different types of moves that we can do to be able to, good, you got it. And we can use all these moves with jiu-jitsu, right? So it allows us to chop and strike and hit while we're moving. So it's not just as we go, it's not just grabbing and moving like normal jiu-jitsu where you're just doing that, but we're also aware of the fact that and I'm blocking, but not just blocking for just with, you notice that hand, I don't know if you guys saw it, but I'm not just blocking to stop them from getting close to me, but I'm also thinking about him striking, because he can try to punch, he can try to whatever, and I should be able to hit while I'm on the ground too, simultaneously use my legs, be able to come up, and he can do it too, right? See, so we can use all these things, and he can hook, he can unhook, he can move in just like he's doing, that's very good. So I can come here, down, so all these different movements we can use to be able to, when he moves me into his back, that's very good, okay? And I'm very aware when I do this, the fact he can strike me from here, so this is why I'm controlling the arms. Because if I would just let go and try to go, oh, look at me, right, he's got me like this, and I'm just letting go, trying to go for the hands, what's he going to be able to do? Just strike me, right? So I have to be very aware of his arm motions, and I'm going to slow down the video here. And as he's moving around, I'm controlling his arms at the wrist. As you can see, what I'm about to do is take this elbow here, and I'm going to move it around and push the leg. And I'm actually going to lean onto the leg, wedging it out, and roll over onto it to slightly immobilize the leg for a minute, giving me the ability to start to come out and move. I'm going to slide my body leaning onto his body to kind of trap him or try to immobilize his body a little bit as I'm moving. For us to be able to do. Okay? So we use our limbs. So anyway, the basis of that is starting out obviously controlling. If we don't have something to grab onto like a uniform or a gi, then what we need to do is get control of the limbs. The best way I like to say, so I like to call it kind of anchoring yourself is what I call it, okay? So what I want to do, if I grab here, it's okay, it's not great, okay? If I grab here, it's better, because this is a type of an anchor. It's not as good as the wrist anchor, but it's a type of anchor. What do I mean by anchor? This is smaller than this or this. Once you come in here, it's harder for you to come loose because you've got a smaller area and you've got bigger areas on the other side, so you're kind of anchored in a little bit, if that makes sense, okay? Same thing with the wrist. This is smaller here, and it gets bigger. I'm anchored right here, so if he tries to pull away, it's easy for me to stay stuck to him, okay? All right, so on any side, so if I anchor myself here behind the elbow, I don't know if you guys can see it, this is his elbow here. If I anchor here like so, then I can anchor in like this, right? And be holding him as he's moving around. I might want to come out to here. This is a good anchor too. It's just like if we're doing jiu-jitsu or Brazilian jiu-jitsu and we're grabbing the gi top, okay, and controlling like that. What I'm doing is controlling on the wrists. And I'm doing this in a way where I'm not super power gripping. This is the thing that most people mess up on this, is they grip as hard as they can trying to hold on. You don't need to do that. All you have to do is have an anchor. See, pull back, pull away. See, I can, look at this. Look at this. I can move my fingers. Good. You see that? I don't know if you guys can see that, but as he's pulling, I can move my fingers because some part of my finger stays anchored to him the whole time. So it doesn't matter if he pulls back or yanks or pushes forward, whatever he does, I'm just gonna kind of follow the movement and use it, whatever he's doing. If he pulls towards himself, I'm gonna go towards him. If he pushes back towards me, I'm gonna go back. And start to use any of those movements, okay? The next thing you can do also is, besides anchor, you can climb is the next thing that you can do. So if I'm here and I'm anchoring, and let's say he gets out of this grip somehow, right? Now I can start to climb and get close, okay? So I can start to get in nice and close. When I'm close like this, everybody knows this in jiu-jitsu, but when you're close like that, it's hard for the person to strike you very effectively. So those two main things is being able to anchor, okay? Whether you anchor here, I even sometimes anchor underneath like so. Sometimes I do that, but this one is much harder. Or it's short term, so you want to do it for just a second so you can get back to something else, okay? Obviously, you can also hook with your feet. It could be a type of anchor. I don't really consider it so much of an anchor, but hooking with your feet, hooking onto them so that you can't be moved or thrown off balance, right? So if he's pushing me this way and I hook onto him with my feet, I can stay up now while he's pushing me. See that? But if I disengage like this and he pushes me, I don't have any way to stay up, because hooking him is keeping me attached to him. I can use these muscles to stay up, so that way I can continue to, if I'm here, I can continue to fight, see here. But once I let go, I fall back. And now he can use his weight, he can power down on top of me, yeah, he can top me, whatever. It's easier for him to do those things, okay? So, hooking with your legs, anchoring with your hands, I think that's really one of the base ideas. You can also hook with your hands too. So if I'm here like this, like I said, if I want to hook the back of the neck, that's a type of a hook. What they're probably going to want to do is try to pass this hand off of them, right? So he's going to try to get around. Now I can continue, see, now I'm using my hand, and then I can pull in and get close again. Then I can maybe hook with my other hand and start working other techniques, whatever it is that I'm working for that. So you can also hook, I like usually the neck, but you can also go this way, okay? Yep, just like that. And then you can come back out and start climbing. The thing when you do that though, you have to be aware, because if we're talking about street, this person is probably trying to still punch. So if I'm moving up, see, I'm very aware of those punches coming in, right? So see, very aware, and that comes from Wing Chun, a lot of that, okay? So I can use my elbows, right? Use my elbow, right? That's the strike. Use my elbow, that's what I'm doing right there. Okay, and then if I want to get really fun, I can start using some jiu-jitsu or some joint manipulation or whatever you want to call it. I can go into maybe a wrist lock to control him, right? And if he's still striking, which usually people don't, but he would. But usually people don't start striking. Once you put them in some type of a lock, they usually won't strike from there. But even if they do, it doesn't matter. Okay, so it won't make any difference. If he's striking from there, I've got a hold of him real good, and he's still trying to strike me, right? So I just come here. So I've got him pretty good right there as far as that's concerned, and I can either put it all the way on him, or I can maneuver him so he can land on his stomach and be flat on his stomach, and then maybe keep him down. So those are some things that you can do from the ground, just being aware of people being able to strike at you. You always want to kind of stick, this is the point of when we do Wing Chun, we also do it when we're on the ground and grappling, because we're thinking about their punching too while I'm down here. So it's not just grabbing them in jiu-jitsu, but we're also thinking about, yeah, that he's punching me and I'm grabbing. Yes, see how he's using his elbow, that's good. That open area, I felt that, right? He almost got it. I felt that. I don't see it, but I feel it. Does that make sense? So, good. All right, so anyway, those are some things you can think about. That's what we kind of train more. First, we obviously train just the hand ability, motion, all the Wing Chun stuff, all the kind of JKD stuff, the strike, what I call sometimes strike grappling. We train that without being on the ground first, so that a person gets good and has skill in doing that. And then, after you do that, we start working on being on the ground and moving on the ground. We'll go into jiu-jitsu, then we'll go into ground, what we call ground sparring, because it really helps you know how to be on the ground properly and kick and punch and move. And then we'll go to something like this, where you're actually striking, and specifically maybe even going into Wing Chun, maybe going into some joint locks or something like that while you're on the ground. Maybe you're putting both of those things together, which would technically be called Chin Na, if you want to say that, but you just throw it all together and kind of play around with it. So anyway, that's the video for today, and we'll see you guys on the next video.